Johnson Aseidu Nketiah, good evening. So he says that free SHS is worse than being an illiterate. Here's a story. He says, it is better to be an illiterate than going for free SHS, Asiedu Nketiah. US and journalists. These are the kind of people and political discourse that we should be able to interrogate and eschew from our society. How can Asiedu Nketiah, a leader of a political party, Johnson Aseidu Nketiah, chairman of NDC, tell Ghanaian people who he's asking for their vote that your children are better off being illiterate? He, Johnson Aseidu Nketiah, if he was illiterate, if he was left to be illiterate and didn't go through the education he went through, Aseidu Nketiah, I respect him a lot because he didn't have the best of prioritized education in Adisadel and Fansipim and Achimota School. He didn't have that. He didn't go to Wesley Girls. He didn't do that. But he was able to, from wherever he was, become a student of the School of Admin, one of the most prestigious schools in the University of Ghana, the School of Admin. Johnson Aseidu Nketiah was a student. He had his master's degree. He worked in a bank. Education is what made Johnson Aseidu Nketiah what he is today. Now, he is looking for your votes, parents, and he's telling you that your children should be illiterate. When Adom Otchere is struggling hard to use the taxpayers' money that we need for water, taxpayers' money that we need for roads, taxpayers' money that we need for gutter, taxpayers' money that we need to extend electricity cable, Akufo-Addo says that I'll make the decision upon the opportunity cost. And when I make the decision upon the opportunity cost, this is what you're going to get. You're going to have 1.8 million Ghanaians educated with the taxpayers' money, and Akufo-Addo finds that as a priority over anything else. Aseidu Nketiah is telling you that it is better for you, your child, to be an illiterate than to go to free SHS, because at free SHS, sometimes the food is bad. We are hearing stories now of schools that are overcrowded. It is true. The schools are overcrowded because of this and that and that. But is the overcrowded school, is it worse than staying at home and being an illiterate and not being trained? An untrained mind. Aseidu Nketiah is telling you that your children should remain as untrained minds. He's been in power with the NDC forever. From the Mills time up to this time, this man has been in power. He didn't find the need to get the taxpayers' money to pay for your children's school fees for those of you who cannot afford. And even for those who can afford, we'll still pay. Just give the children more. He didn't find the need to do that too. Aseidu Nketiah, the chairman of the NDC, he didn't find the need to do that. He now tells you that it is better for your child to be illiterate. Viewers, what shall we do with this? What shall we do with this matter? Now, we are here in an election year to challenge these politicians. I was going to have a name for them, but I won't say it today. Quote and unquote. These politicians, how can you come and tell people, parents, that your child is better as an illiterate than to go to Pokuare because Pokuare is crowded? Your child should be an illiterate than to go to Presec because Presec is crowded. Your child should be an illiterate than to go to Wesley Girls because Wesley Girls is crowded. Aseidu Nketiah, he didn't go to Wesley Girls, but he was able to become. And then this is what a political leader is saying, and we are all okay with it. It's fine. We shouldn't say anything about it. A political leader, chairman of a political party, that is a government in waiting, chairman of a political party that's been in power before, chairman of a political party that's presenting a former president as his presidential candidate, the chairman of the political party is telling you that it is better for your children to be illiterate than to go to a crowded Presec, than to go to a crowded Accra Academy, than to go to a crowded Adisadel. Why don't we have a crowded Adisadel and work to uncrowd Adisadel so that people will go through Adisadel and at least gain some brain? The World Bank tells us that the most important coefficient for development is skills acquisition and education. The most important coefficient in anybody's CV for development of a country is skills acquisition and education. No matter how you acquire the skill, whether you acquire it in a crowded Adisadel, whether you acquire it under a tree, skills acquisition is far more important than anything else, than gold in the ground. It's far more important than oil under the water. Skills acquisition. And Johnson Aseidu Nketiah, chairman of the National Democratic Congress, his view of the matter is that because the school is crowded, let your children be illiterate. Aseidu Nketiah said that. Civil society didn't say anything about it. Aseidu Nketiah said that. Civil society say they haven't heard it. They don't know anything about it. Johnson Asiedu Nketiah is the one who said it. He said it is better for your children to be illiterate. They should stay at home, be illiterate, than to go to free SHS because it is crowded, because the meals don't come on time, because even the day schools that Akufo-Addo has built dining halls for them, like Aquinas Secondary School, so they can eat, the meals come and the rice is too small, or there are weevils in the rice. So his children have been educated in Canada. I know that for sure because he was my neighbor. His daughter was educated in Canada. You send your child to Canada, Johnson Asiedu Nketiah. You send your child to Canada to go and educate her. And that is a great thing. And she's going to be a great woman. And you tell us that it is okay for our children to be illiterate than to go to a crowded presec. Johnson Asiedu Nketiah, you can't say that. You never say that again. These are the things that people, when people call for apologies, okay, that to call Aseidu Nketiah to apologize. You take your children to Canada. We should leave our children at home because presec is crowded. Wait for you to come to power, to come and uncrowd presec. You were in power for 8 years. You said free SHS is not possible. That's what he said. You were in power for 8 years. You said educating Ghanaian people who for some reason, or some death of a father, death of a mother, collapse of a business, some family circumstance has changed, they cannot educate their children, so they don't take them to school. You said they should leave them at home, but you take your children to Canada. And I don't understand. The journalists are not asking any question. Civil society is not concerned about it. They are concerned about other things, whether Dom-Levo has been sacked by Akufo-Addo or Dom-Levo has not been sacked. The bread and butter issues. And that is why Akufo-Addo won the election of 2020, even though it was a very difficult election. Because the Ghanaian people were following the bread and butter issues. They want education for their children. They want food for their people. They want roads for their people. They want dams for their people. They want factories for their people. That's what Akufo-Addo was focusing on. That is why Akufo-Addo beat John Mahama by 500,000 and beat the combined MPP parliament by another several hundreds of thousands. And they were saying that the election was rigged, so he went to court to go and do people in the calculator in the court. Because the Ghanaian people were looking at the reality of the situation. Who is solving our problems? Who is thinking about us? Who is sitting in the Jubilee House and thinking about children that he doesn't know? Children that he will never meet. He sits in the Jubilee House and is thinking about children in my village, in Kokosfo, in my village, in somewhere, in Gari Tumpani. Akufo-Addo is thinking about those children. He will never meet them. He doesn't know them. He doesn't know their father. He says that if they go to Tamale Secondary School, the taxpayer will pay because we need an educated army to be able to change the destiny of this country. Yes, there will be difficulties because we have to suddenly put 100,000 people more. Yes, there will be difficulties. Suddenly 1.8 million people are going. There will be difficulties. Presec will be crowded. And Decider will be crowded because we want to translate the presec top education to as many children as can get it. Asiedu Nketiah says that no, let them stay at home. They should be illiterate. That's what he wants. That's what this election is about. This election is about choices. It's about which man are you going to choose, or which woman are you going to choose who is speaking to your circumstance. People who are telling you that leave your children at home for them to be illiterate. You have to look at them again, or you have to ask them a question. Johnson Asiedu Nketiah is the chairman of the National Democratic Congress. Chairman of the National Democratic Congress. For many years, A.A. Munufie and Isifu Ali were chairman of NDC, co-chairman, for many years. Never did media have to report about anything that A.A. Munufie had said, anything that Isifu Ali had said. B.J. Darocha was chairman of MPP. Neodo Sykes was chairman of MPP. Peter Ajete was chairman of MPP. Peter McMahon was chairman of MPP. Not one in those days when we were reporting did we have to report this kinds of talk. Deviant talk. Deviant talk. This kind of talk. That we should put our children at home. They should be illiterate. But your children will go to Canada. They should be illiterate because you want to show that free SHS is bad. Asiedu Nketiah should be withdrawing this statement and be apologizing for it. But no, they won't.